Hi, this is Rori Raye with Watercolor Your Love Life. Welcome again to my studio. I just did the introduction, so this will likely be the first video you see after that. Normally, what you do in an art class that has to do with painting is you start with color. You start with learning about values, dark, light, how you work up to that in the same color, the importance of darks and lights. You learn about paint, the different qualities of different paints, whether they leave sandy grit or whether they stain the paper or whether they're easily removed, the depth of them. You learn about the color wheel and the complementary colors and how to mix colors and all of that. Well, we're going to do that sort of, but today I want to talk about what I consider to be the emotional expressive component of watercolor, which is the brush. Just hold up a big bunch of my brushes. Why brushes? They're going to fall all over the place. Why brushes? Well, think of the paint, and the paints are fun. I have a whole box of paints here, are materials that you use to work with, like words. So we're talking about a relationship, right? Words, the words you use, they are already in the language. People use those words. They are known as words. You can use them as materials, but then they've got to come out of your mouth, right? They have to be spoken by you. They are not just a word, they are colored by the expression, the feelings, the emotion, the energy that you have when they come out of you. So let's look at the paints and the colors as words and the brushes as your emotion and your energy. So how can that really be? Let's just take one brush here. This is like an extension of my hand. It's an extension of me. I'm brushing onto something as if it was my hand. So it becomes almost a part of my body. The way I hold it is not important. I can hold it this way and turn sideways on here. I can go like this. I can use all kinds of different colors and brush water and do all kinds of things if I think of them as an extension of my feelings, of my hand, of my soul, of my heart. So this is what happens when you're in a conversation with somebody. You're using words that hopefully you've learned in my scripting, and yet you're expressing them through your body, through your emotion, through your feelings. Hi, how was your day? Can come out as, hi, how was your day? Mechanical. It can come out angry. Hi, how was your day? It can come out, I'm so happy to see you. Hi, how was your day? Right? The emotion colors it. This is what actors learn. Some actors learn that technically. Some actors just learn that from inside and they just feel something and it comes out that way. So think of the brush as the expression of the paint. So let's just try a few different brushes and I'll show you what happens just by using water. So I guess your first assignment from this lesson is water. So get yourself some brushes. You can get inexpensive brushes. So what are we looking at in brushes? A lot of people get away with one brush. When I started, I was told to buy this one brush. This is called a round. You can see it's round, it's got a rounded end. So I was told to use this and I could do everything with it. When it's wet, it can come to a point at the top and you can do a lot of things with it. You can make lines with it. You can use it as a pointy little tool. You can make big movements with it. This, by the way, is a sable brush. It was my first brush. I since have not brought anything that is not synthetic. I'm an animal person. I just cannot use any part of an animal in my art. So I look for synthetic brushes that the number one thing you want in a brush is that it holds a lot of water. The cheap brushes don't. And the cheap brushes fall apart. So they leave pieces of brush hair on your paper. So you need to spend enough money so that it's a brush that will hold together. And you don't need to, and then it'll hold water and paint. And yet you don't need to spend a lot of money on brushes. I'd rather you have a bunch of them to play with. Okay, so let's talk about this round. What I did was I used this round and it made a mark. I realize you can't really see what I'm doing here, but I will do more when I actually have the paint in there. It made a mark on the paper. I was painting. All I learned was to paint on the paper. So much like I learned to speak words, right? But it's not really fully connected to my heart. It's not fully expressed. I don't feel like I'm heard or that I'm getting out what it is I'm really feeling, really needing. So this round brush for me made a mark that felt like it had a space, it was a design, it did one thing. As soon as I sort of got in the mood and I bought a flat brush, and I see it's flat across the top, I had a completely different experience with paper. All of a sudden, I was making different kinds of marks that didn't have a shape really. They were square. These come out as square. And so I would add more water and do more things to it. I discovered I could go sideways with a brush, just down this way, and I could make lines. I can make lines with the edge. I could use the point to make something very specific and detailed. And all of a sudden, what happened to my work was, when I started, I looked very amateurish in the sense that I was painting things, like coloring or in some kind of lines that I had drawn. And I looked tight and like I didn't know what to do with the vast medium of water and paint and everything that's going on. I was just trying to paint leaves and paint things. Well, as soon as I moved to a straight, I wasn't able to do that anymore. I wasn't able to paint shapes with this. All of a sudden I was making big marks and I was having fun, and all of a sudden I started to loosen up. I started to figure out different ways to make trees with flats. You know, are they leaves or are they just a way to put the paint on the paper and then I can do whatever I want to make a tree? So that was my first experience with a flat, and I've pretty much been using mostly flats ever since, even with my portraits, even with faces. I prefer to use the flats because I don't get all involved in details. And then got a new round that's got a really sharp point, so I can go big with a little. And then this is just a big water carrier. You want to get water all over the paper. And this is a brush that you'll see everywhere now. It's very much in fashion. It's a Chinese brush. And what people used it for a couple of years ago was just putting a lot of water on the paper. Just getting water on there, and then you put the paint into the water. One approach. You can also put paint on the paper and then put water in afterwards, and I'll show you all of those. But the brush is the important thing here, that I want you to experience the idea of it. So people were just using it to cover the paper with water. Now there's a school of painting that's been out for a while called Fast and Loose. I think you've probably seen it if you've been looking at YouTube videos at all. And it's using this brush pretty much exclusively. Not only do you use it this way, but you dot the paper with it. You can make leaves this way. You can do whatever you want. You can also make straight lines with it. You can do all kinds of fun things with this brush. And the longer you use this brush, well, the longer you stay loose, right? Stay loose. So what is a big brush with regards to the emotions around words? What would be a big brush as opposed to, let's say, this little teeny brush that I wanted to paint an eye with? I wanted to paint the pupil of an eye with this. And I can still use this brush to paint the pupil of an eye. I want to stay feeling bigger, I can do that. Well, let's talk about what these two things can do and what your emotions can do. If I am feeling a huge amount of anger and I decide to stuff it down and put that huge amount of feeling, I want to make that tree, I just want to put dark green on that paper, but I stuff it down into, I'll paint this little leaf right here. Then I'm doing the same thing when I say I'm feeling really angry, and I instead say to you, I'm going away now, or hello, and I'm stuffing it down. And I say one thing, but I'm actually feeling another. The words are fine. I'm not saying you're an idiot because I'm mad at you. I'm stuffing down the anger and I'm saying, what do you want for dinner? I am shifting into smaller brush gear. There's sometimes when you do feel smaller brush, when it's like, I'm feeling so soft and sleepy. That could be a small brush moment, right? But I'm furious is a big brush moment, right? So you want to be able to say, I'm feeling so angry, I could just knock you over. I need to get out of this space, get it out of my system. And then you go pounding down the street the way you use a big brush. And sometimes you want to use the big brush to discover a sun in the painting. You'll paint yellow over it, and then you'll start painting blue around it, and then the yellow just jumps out. Wow. I did not actually draw a sun. The sunlight just came through. So your feelings of love for somebody would come through even an angry moment. I feel so angry, and I still love you. I love you, and I feel love for you, but I'm feeling like a bear. I'm feeling so angry. I have to get this out of my system. So now we're being totally authentic, totally real. So I want to give you a chance to think about big brush, little brush. Where are you emotionally with a man in a moment? Where are you in a relationship? All right. Next, I'm actually going to talk about paint, and we'll start combining the paint with the brushes, and I'll start to show you what things can do and give you assignments. So your assignment is get a couple brushes, flat, a round, maybe small one, maybe a really big one. That would be a good assortment. And get yourself a big bowl of water and get yourself some paper, any paper. We will also talk about qualities of paper. Very big. Don't spend a lot of money on anything unless it's a really good one. Top of the line, arches. If you want to spend money on that, get those now. Don't spend a lot of money getting anything less than that. All right? Otherwise, we'll find some other ways. So we're going to talk about it all, but you can use these brushes on anything, any paper. I just want you to have the experience of picking up water with the different size brushes and getting them on. And just use water, no color. We don't want to confuse it with different words. We just want to get the emotions out and have you start to feel yourself in it, and that the brush is an expression of your arm, just the way your voice is.